Hey, thanks for making it to Veterans Info Tap. I'm glad you made it. We are starting to see some numbers shape up and some trajectory as far as what potential COLA, cost of living adjustment, will look like with regard to VA, Social Security, that type of stuff. And, are we going to see an increase? Are we not? Is it going to stay flat? Is it going to bump up? What's going to happen? We're in a presidential election year, which is also a possible factor of things. So, very interested in to see how this is going to shape up. The last numbers that had come in are from December 2023 Consumer Price Index for urban wage earners and clerical workers, which is the indice that's used. There has been legislation on both the Senate and the House asking to change that to push it over to the CPIE, which is the price index for elderly, as it would warrant a slightly higher adjustment for that pay increase on your VA compensation or Social Security, but we have yet to see any real movement on those. Here we are. This information was just released, a week and a half ago, January 11th, and it was at 300.728.2% below the fiscal year 2024 baseline of 301.236. January 2024 figures will be announced here in about maybe 3 weeks. So February 13th is when that will be coming out, and we'll see what that looks like. The CPI figures, as you know, for actual calculation of COLA will be the last quarter of the federal fiscal year. So that's July, August, and September numbers. So everything up until then is really just kind of gauging what the economy is doing. I did find an article here, and I want to share that with you to give you that projection, the projection on what the professionals are looking at, and we'll read through it and see what we can pick out of it. Again, curious to see what's going to happen on the tail of basically three fairly decent, I don't agree with it, think it should be higher for us, but you had one in the 5s, one in the 8s, one in the 3s, all in a row there. So curious to see what this is going to look like. So please hit the thumbs up, subscribe, share with a friend, all that good stuff. I really appreciate it. Helps out the channel immensely. The two asks are really hit that thumbs up, let the video run. Those two things help to put this into the hands of those that want to see it, and I appreciate that. You want to support the channel in other ways, consider being a member. You can do that by going to the home page, and then in there you'll see the highlighted members and a join button somewhere. All right, so Social Security cost of living adjustment, lowest in 5 years. And this recently came out, this article, and this is, what is this? Yahoo Finance. So trying to widen it out here so I can not miss words. All right. So moving on into this article, the cost of living adjustment for 2025. So that's what we'll be working on at the tail end of this federal fiscal year. Again, July, August, September. So the cost of living adjustment for 2025 Social Security recipients, and but by default, right, will be us as the veteran community. Obviously some veterans receive Social Security, so you're going to be impacted on both sides. Could be as low as, here's the projection, could be as low as 1.4%, down from 3.2 this recent COLA. So making this the lowest COLA since 2020. Again, the last 3 years have been pretty good, according to an analysis by the Senior Citizens League, which the Senior Citizens League, are by far the most engaged, I guess, in this whole world of COLA with regard to Social Security. Obviously, senior citizens are a large number of Social Security recipients. Moving on. December, and oh, by the way, the Senior Citizens League also endorses changing how COLA is calculated to be more in line with the actual costs incurred by senior citizens and those that fall in the disabled arena, which by default, again, includes veterans. So, I kind of go back and forth. I think that there could be an advantageous aspect if veterans and the Senior Citizens League, right, as senior citizens, work together to work on a better way to calculate COLA. There's strength in numbers and votes, right? So anyway, let's move on. December's inflation reading for the CPIW, the Consumer Price Index for urban wage earners and clerical workers, indicated that inflation was 3.3%, which is slightly higher than the Social Security's 3.2% COLA for 2024. That's not necessarily good news if prices for housing, hospital care, auto insurance, and other costs remain at today's elevated levels, said Mary Johnson, Social Security and Medicare policy analyst for the Senior Citizens League. You know, we should reach out to her and have some conversations as we get a little bit closer, see if we can get in contact with her. All right, moving on. COLA is calculated based on the CPIW, which more heavily weighs on cost of transportation, food, apparel, apparel and other expenses that would be bought by urban non-retirees, which is the argument to move to the CPIE, which is for the elderly, right? Different spending patterns, different costs, so forth. Even my rooster agrees. Don't know if you heard him. He's a little bit far away. All right. The estimate for 2025's COLA could change as the year progresses, obviously. The official announcement for next year's COLA is not expected until October, because again, they're going to utilize July, August, September, and then mid-October, September's numbers, the final numbers needed, will be given, and then they will calculate out the COLA. The average COLA over the last 20 years has been about 2.6%, according to the Senior Citizens League. COLA is a benefit adjustment that reflects inflation, is not a raise, but it still can help roughly 67 million Social Security beneficiaries, plus another 5.5 or more million compensation recipients on the VA side, because they always leave it out. All right. Half of the U.S. population age 65 or older live in households that receive at least 50% of their income from Social Security benefits, according to the Social Security Administration. About 25% of older households rely on Social Security for at least 90% of their income. That is huge. The slim COLA forecast for 2025 could be eroded by rising Medicare Part B premiums. Amen. Johnson warned, right? So the system needs to be reworked. The easiest way to do it is just to adjust the COLA piece for these folks on Social Security, and maybe it's specific Social Security benefits, right? They get that raise, and then obviously, in my opinion, VA, right? So anything that's affected by COLA. And what's weird about the VA is that the VAs, for example, will have compensation COLA adjusted to whatever Social Security's is, but then internally, the VA will enact their own version of COLA for other entitlements or benefits, such as Chapter 35 education benefit. They gave over a 5% this year when Social Security was at 3.2. So kind of interesting how that works. All right, moving on. Which covers physicians. So Medicare Part B, which covers physicians, services, outpatient hospital services, certain home health services, durable medical equipment, and other medical and health services not covered by Medicare Part A, are automatically deducted from a retiree Social Security check. Medicare Part B is $174.70 a month for 2024, a 5.9% increase. Again, it's like the numbers never quite line up, from $164.90 for 2023. Johnson also cautioned that the 2023 COLA of 8.7%, which we all enjoyed, could affect Social Security recipients' taxes going into this year's tax season. We expect a higher Social Security income will not only cause more Social Security recipients to pay taxes on their benefits this tax season, but taxes are taking a bigger portion of Social Security checks in 2024, Johnson said. The increased number of recipients hit by taxes is due to the program's fixed income thresholds, Johnson said. Unlike federal income tax brackets, the income thresholds that subject Social Security benefits to taxation have not been adjusted for inflation since the tax became effective in 1984. Fix that, legislators. So if you are receiving Social Security, for example, you might want to, well, kind of just mention that, right? And say, can we work on that? So unlike federal income tax brackets, the income threshold, Social Security, that subjects Social Security benefits to taxation has not been adjusted for inflation since it became effective in 84. So I don't know what the numbers are, but let's just say that it's $20,000, right? But now you're making more than $20,000, but your tax rate is still at $20,000 because they haven't. It should go up with inflation. It should just mirror the same increase. Whatever it was in 84 should have all the same COLAs adjustments as far as dollar figures are concerned for that to raise the ceiling, right? In accordance with inflation. It seems stupid that it's not. All right, moving on. We're almost done. Last little 3 sentences here. The trust fund that backs Social Security will be insolvent by 2033, which means that if nothing is done to bolster it, benefits for current and future recipients will be slashed by 23%. That's how they leave it in that article, which is just on a sour, ugly note. Wow, 2033 is 9 years away, folks. So here's the thing. There's a couple different pieces, a couple nuggets if you hung on till the end, right? One is the sense of urgency with it's going to get slashed by 23% if nothing changes by 2033. So there needs to be some changes there. What can we do? The tax bracket income threshold for Social Security has not moved since its inception in 1984, which means something needs to happen there. And then all of us want more money, but the damn thing's going to be insolvent by 2033. So there's various different mechanisms out there in order to help with it. My kind of thought is taking away the maximum amount of Social Security paid per year. There's a certain dollar amount, right? I don't remember what it is off the top of my head, $160,000 or something per year. Once you hit that threshold, 160,000-ish, whatever it really is, you stop paying into Social Security. It just ends. You stop. There's no more you pay into it. You maxed out. However, if you make in this case, $320,000 per year, that means that for 6 months you don't pay anything into the system. Now, what if the majority of high income earners are not looking to retire in the next 5 years, right? That means that if you release that threshold or that cap and allow money to get pushed into the system, we can earn interest on the system, on the money, right? You can earn money on that money, ideally. I don't know if it sits like that, like a bank does, because a bank will invest your money. So I don't know if they have investments or not. Maybe somebody who works in Social Security can talk about that. But I'm a fan of that. I think that's a smart thing to do is to get more money into it, number one. And if we can make money on that money, well, then that just makes sense. So whatever. I'm just going to blab at this point. So we'll leave it there. Thanks so much for watching. I appreciate you. Have a great one. And remember, if we don't take care of each other, something went wrong.